Hello, everyone. This is Lauren Steiner, and welcome to a very special edition of the Robust Opposition. I have a remote correspondent in Norwich, Vermont, who is going to be showing us live a protest of a Joe Biden fundraiser featuring his wife, Jill Biden. And so there's a bunch of activists and concerned citizens out there today, right now, who want to send her a message to relate to her husband that we want to end this genocide right now and that he should call for a permanent ceasefire and stop the funding unless they do. So here we have Ashley.
Jill is coming now, I believe.
Biden, Biden, you can't hide. We charge you with genocide. Biden, Biden, you can't hide. We charge you with genocide. Biden, Biden, you can't hide.
So she just drove by, huh?
That was her convoy, just drove up to the house where the fundraiser is.
Okay, well, let me introduce you. This is Ashley Andreas, and she was a Bernie delegate in 2020, along with me.
2016.
I'm sorry, 2016. That's when I was a Bernie delegate, not 2020. And she's been active in issues and politics in her community ever since. Tell us why you decided to come out here, Ashley.
As a mother and as an activist, this is just a moral issue that we can't sit silent on. Today we're out here. There's two groups, as well as probably some individuals. But we have a group called Upper Valley for Palestine who's here today. Any marching that happens off of the green here in Norwich is going to be that group. And then we also have an Upper Valley affinity group, which has some members from Jewish Voice for Peace who are here demonstrating on the Norwich Green.
Now, I find this very interesting. We're now going into the 6th month of this genocide, and Joe Biden can't go anywhere without being protested. And now with this action, you're actually extending it to his wife. What do you say? And I'd like you to ask this question of some other people, because when I posted about this, somebody said, well, what do you want? You want Trump? You think he's going to be better? What's your answer to that?
My answer as someone who's, been very disappointed and really just detached from politics since Bernie lost the nomination in 2016, is that if Joe Biden would take a stand on this issue and demand a ceasefire, I would vote for him. I would be happy to, I would feel good about placing my vote for him in the general election. I don't think Trump is better on the issue, but I also don't think that means that we shouldn't hold our politicians accountable for these issues. Biden is in power right now. So whether or not he was running for re-election, this is an issue we need to be protesting him about. And we can't use the election as a cop-out to sweep this under the rug as, millions of people are being terrorized under, something that we could control and help.
Well, I totally agree with you. Why don't you go over to the group and we'll interview some more people?
Yeah, absolutely.
But I'd like to say that, I was just listening to Al Jazeera, and the special rapporteur for the UN was interviewed, and she is actually about to prepare. She has prepared, and she's about to release a detailed report on exactly why this is genocide. And as we know, we're now going into the second phase. After the bombing phase, we're going into the starvation phase. 24 people have already died from starvation, and it's totally man-made.
We want justice. You say how?
End the siege of Gaza now.
You can see there's a great puppet here. I'd like
Well,
to
let's
show.
look at the puppet. Oh, wow. Yeah, that is a great puppet.
Bombs, bread.
So I guess he's providing the bombs and withholding the bread is what's going
Right.
on.
It's a choice. Let me see if there's someone who'd like to chat a little bit. Hello. My name's Ashley, and I'm live streaming with Lauren Steiner. Would you like to tell folks why you're here today?
I'm here as a legal observer,
Oh, okay.
so I'm just watching and taking notes if any disturbances happen.
Perfect. Thank you. Thanks for doing this. Hello. Would you all like to tell our live streaming team why you're out here today?
I'm too nervous.
It can be really short.
Just out here to urge Joe Biden to urge her husband to stop enabling and contributing to the genocide in Gaza. Free Palestine.
Awesome. Thank you. And I've got another person here who might want to talk. Excuse me, Sabra, would you like to tell the live stream with Lauren Steiner why you're here today?
Yeah, well, I'm here because I have been following this since it unfolded in October, and I'm absolutely horrified by what's been going on. And as you can see from my sign,
How many kids did you kill today?
It's not a war, it's genocide, and it's beyond belief, really, what's been happening. And of course, we're stuck with the lesser of two evils. I know that Trump would be doing this and more, but we've got to pull this to a stop and pay deep attention, really, to all the other drivers. And Jane Stetson down the road is hosting this for Jill Biden as a fundraiser. But if you look into where her money comes from, which is IBM, and you really look at what IBM is doing in Israel, you're in for a deep dive that's really shocking. And it's also called Red Hat. And the most recent thing going on is that the mayor of New York just made a partnership with the finance minister from Israel. And P.S., he's now saying to the World Bank, hey, don't worry, we're going to use a lot of money up, in this siege on Gaza. But these weapons that we're experimenting with so successfully will be on the world market and in great demand. So it's really, really disgusting.
Awesome. Thank you, Sabra.
We want justice. You say how.
Oh, I can't hear you. Can't hear you, Lauren. Oh, you're muted.
The people united will never be defeated.
Yeah, sorry, you can't hear me, I'm muted. When she's talking about the World Bank, I'm thinking about all of these companies that are going to profit from the rebuilding of Gaza after Israel destroys it. And I actually saw something on X today that said that number that they're building supposedly for the food that's going to take 2 months, by then it will be too late, and is so inefficient when you already have all the land crossings, only 2 of which are open. They're saying that they really are going to do that to get the natural gas, which is why a lot of people feel they invaded in the first place. So why don't you go on and introduce more people?
Every time Biden lies.
A neighborhood in Gaza dies.
Every time Biden lies.
A neighborhood in Gaza dies.
Every time Biden lies.
A neighborhood in Gaza dies.
Free, free Palestine.
Free,
Free, free Palestine.
free, free Palestine.
Free, free Palestine.
Free, free Palestine.
Free, free, free Palestine.
Yeah, Ashley, I was talking to you in advance of this when we were talking about if I could be of any help with the planning, because I used to do this all the time in LA at Barack Obama fundraisers. And I was mentioning to you that we love the ones that were in the public street because they used to have them in gated communities we couldn't get anywhere near, so we'd be in a park nearby like you are. And then when they started having them in homes that were, we could get access to, they started doing the Secret Service protection zone. And they would do that in a half-a-mile radius around the person's home. So we couldn't even get near enough that they would hear us chanting. So I think it's great that she saw you. She drove right by you and saw all the people and the signs. And I'm only hoping that you're going to be able to get close. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, so there's a good group of us here that want to march. So behind me, the road right there is Elm Street, which is the street that the house is on for the fundraiser. They do have a blockade set up. Well, there's police in an area that looks like they will blockade if we were to advance down the street. So we may end up marching into a blockade, but that's okay. The goal for us is to make enough noise that they can hear us at the house, which I think is close enough that potentially may be the case. So that's our big goal. And also, when the event ends and people are leaving, we're hoping to have another group on the other exit from this street as well as down here, so that the guests who are paying, entry to this event was $1,000 to $25,000 to get in. The idea that people are spending that much money to go have a dinner with Joe Biden when there are children being murdered and starving and refuse medical aid is just so immoral and so upsetting. So we really want the people attending this event to hear our voices and be reminded of the realities that Gazans are experiencing today while they sit and have a lush, lavish meal in this, nice fancy house in Norwich.
Yeah, you're actually echoing some of the language that I said that was used on Jon Stewart back in 2012 when we protested Obama at an event in Holmby Hills with the Foo Fighters. And it was $1,500 to go and sit outside and hear the Foo Fighters. But if you wanted to have dinner with the president, it was $33,500 a plate. And this was when, that could have fed 17,750 because it was $2 a meal for a food, a meal at the LA Food Bank. And we just thought it was so disgusting that all these rich people were spending their money in that when that's so many people that amount of money. But you want to introduce more people?
I'm sorry, what was that last part?
Would you like to interview some more people?
Yeah, I was just going to say, are you okay with that? I'm also going to check in with one of my folks to see if we have an idea on if there's going to be some movement and marching. Let me see. Let's see. Hi. Would either of you like to talk on my live stream here with Lauren Steiner, who runs a YouTube and Facebook page? She's streaming why you're here today, and maybe if you know about the origin of the puppet.
I do. My friend.
You want to get a little closer, Ashley.
Artist.
Oh, what was that?
You got to get a little closer so I can hear her.
Okay.
My friend Ria Blas, who's a local artist, designed the puppet and built it. Took her 3 days to do, and he's a great guy. Sydney, look at him.
Awesome.
So,
and why were you all compelled to come out here today?
Well, I'm part of the Upper Valley Affinity Group, and we have been on the bridge for months, on Ledyard Bridge.
Yes.
Between 4 and 5, Wednesdays and Fridays, calling for a ceasefire and calling, for funds to UNRWA to be restored and freeing the hostages and, all those things. And so we've been really active in this protest and very committed to the cause.
Thank you.
I also, several of us in the affinity group, passed ceasefire resolutions in our town meetings. I did the one for Sharon.
Nice.
Passed overwhelmingly. And we also do a Women in Black protest on Friday from 3:30 to 4 on the corner of the Green in Hanover, opposite the Hanover Inn. And I don't know if you know about the Women in Black movement, but it was started by Israeli women in a previous conflict, mourning the Palestinian dead. And they stood silently on street corners all dressed in black in just a show of mourning. So we do that every Friday in solidarity also for the people in Palestine.
Awesome. Great. So, well, thank you for all you're doing and for being here.
Yeah.
How about you? Would you like to tell us?
Yeah. I just think it's disgusting that people are spending thousands of dollars to have dinner with the First Lady when there are thousands of people starving in Gaza. No food can get in, no medical aid, barely a trickle is coming in. And the president could make all of that change if he wanted to, and he just doesn't want to. So, yeah, that's why we're out here. We want our fellow Americans to think about the connections between what's happening in this country with colonialism around the world.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys. Thank you. Yeah. Would you like me to do talk to some more folks, Lauren?
Absolutely.
All right. It's hard because if I get too close to the music and the speaker, you can't hear me.
No more money for Israel's crimes.
Let's see if I can get some folks down here. Hi. I'm good. I'm doing a live stream right now. Would you all like to tell us why you're here today?
Hi,
You can introduce yourself if you want.
I'm Mona.
And I'm Manel, and we're both Palestinians, so that's why we're here.
Awesome. Yeah, do you have any message you want to send out there to the...
Just for the genocide to stop and to let the people live.
Yeah.
Can you ask them if they have any relatives in Gaza?
They're asking if you have any relatives in Gaza.
We have like distant relatives there that have lost their lives, and now they're stuck. They can't leave. They're actually American citizens. Some of them were born here, but they can't leave because their kids were born in Palestine, and they can't leave them behind.
Have they been in communication with them?
We don't have communication with them, but we have communications with their mom, who lives in California.
And did you know, you didn't happen to know those Palestinian students who died in Vermont? I mean, not who died, but they were assaulted.
She was asking if they've heard of or know the Palestinian people were assaulted in Vermont. I didn't know that.
The ones that were shot.
Oh, they were shot. That's what it was. Yeah. And yeah, so Lauren, they have heard about it.
Okay, I was just wondering if they felt, my next question is going to be, have they felt any danger or have they experienced any Islamophobia?
Yeah, she's asking if you guys have felt any danger or experienced any Islamophobia.
We haven't. I haven't directly, unfortunately, but I know others have.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for sharing with us. And yeah, I'll come back and say hi. See some other. Oh,
Just for the people.
Oh, Jeff, would you like? So I'm live streaming right now with Lauren Steiner, who runs a channel on YouTube and Facebook. Yeah, let's come down here a little bit. Excuse us. And so we're interviewing some folks, and they're telling us, introduce yourself if you'd like, and why you're here, and any messages you want to get out.
Okay, my name is Jeff Gardner, and I live in Bradford, Vermont, and I am here because I think it's really important that all of us say as loudly and clearly as we can to Jill Biden to tell her husband, the president, that we are absolutely opposed to the genocide going forward in Gaza and the occupation of the West Bank, and it must stop. And it is his responsibility to tell Israel to cease fire and to ensure that that happens as quickly as possible. 30,000 people have been killed in 5 months. That's outrageous.
And what do you say? What do you say to the people who say, "Do you think Trump is going to be any better?"
Hold on, Lauren. Say that again.
I want to know, because this has been said to me. What does he say to people when they say to him, "Do you think Trump is going to be any better?"
Oh, she's wondering what you would say to people when they say, "Well, do you think Trump is going to be any better?"
Of course not. Just as bad. That's the problem. Here we have a Democratic president acting, not surprisingly, really, just as badly on these issues as Trump would be. And the claim that in some way we're ensuring that Trump will be reelected because we're doing this is really absurd. It works the other way around. I think that's backwards. In fact, what is endangering us to suffer a second Trump administration is the failure of Biden to draw the line and say this must stop, and it must stop now.
Very well said, Jeff. Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Free Palestine!
Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now!
Excuse me. I'm doing a live stream. Would you do a quick interview?
Sure.
Awesome. So, if you want to introduce yourself and just say why you're out here today, and if you have a message.
Yeah, sure. I'm Ezra. I'm a street medic. I'm working to keep people safe here and make sure everything goes how it needs to go. I'm also here to tell Jill Biden to stop supporting murder and horrible genocide.
You got to get a little closer, Ashley.
What was that?
You got to get a little closer. I can hardly hear him.
Oh, they can't hear you too well. But did you get the essence of it, or did you want them to go again?
Well, if he wants to say more, just stand closer to him.
Oh, I think he said that was pretty much all that you had, right? It was a very good message. Thank you. Yeah, Lauren, the noise making is very effective, and it's harder and harder for me to talk to people, even on the perimeters.
Well, let's just do some pans down the crowd there.
Say that again.
Just like, pan. In other words, walk down.
Perfect. Yeah, I'll just give you a view of what's happening. The chants and the music are great, so enjoy for a little bit.
In case you're just joining us, we're here in Norwich, Vermont, and this is the site of a protest. There's a Joe Biden fundraiser going on down the street with guest honor Bill Biden. And at the start of our broadcast, about 25 minutes ago, he drove by in her motorcade and saw this nice crowd, which is getting larger by the minute. And this is two organizations have started this. One is a smaller affinity group, and the other one is this great puppet of Joe Biden, which we see right there in the background. And the other group has been, protesting ever since this war started.
Machine. Sign to Mexico.
Border walls have got to go.
These border walls have got to go.
From Palestine to Mexico.
From Palestine to Mexico.
Border walls have got to go.
These border walls have got to go. Free, free Palestine.
Within our lifetime.
Within our lifetime.
Free, free Palestine.
Free, free Palestine.
So, this is so damn great for me to hear, and I'm losing my voice. And I'm not even there chanting, and I'm losing my voice. But I was in Washington, D.C. last week with coaching, and I don't know why I'm looking down at this little window. I'm going to look at the camera here. I was with coaching, and they've been in the halls of Congress for several months now, trying to get Congress people to sign on to support a ceasefire. And they've been embarrassing them in the halls. They've been getting some egregious responses from some of these Congress people, especially the Republicans, basically agreeing with some of the genocidal intent comments of Israel. This one particular guy, I think his name was Brian Mass, he's lost his legs in some sort of service. Basically,
No!
and it was so hard to see.
No!
Yeah, let's look at some of those signs. Yeah, she can't really hear me because it's so loud there. This is a very good, I know, Michael, it's my, I had throat cancer in 2007, and I had radiation, and occasionally I get these nodules on my vocal cords. So that's really what it's from. And I don't know, I think Diane Reeves also might have had throat cancer, but it's, periodic. Thank God I don't have it all the time. And thank you for asking.
Lauren, I just want to go check in to see if we're going to march soon. Is there a way that you could pause me, or I can...
Yes, I can, but come back in 5 minutes, because I don't think people want to hear me. So come back pretty soon, okay?
Yeah, do you want me to just exit out and then log back into the link, or do you want me to just pause my camera?
No, I would exit out.
Okay, sounds good. I'll be back in 5.
All right.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. So that was Ashley Andreas, and she's there in Norwich, Vermont. And in case you're just joining us, we were showing you, and we will be showing you more of this protest of Jill Biden, I should say, I should enunciate. She is there at a fundraiser for her husband at the home of Jane Stetson, who my friend Sabra Ewing said in the beginning of the broadcast is an heiress to the IBM fortune. And IBM is up to their necks in weapons, as she was telling us. And Jane is a Democratic fundraiser involved in a lot of good causes, but right now she's supporting, obviously, Joe Biden, who is supporting a genocide. He is enabling a genocide because he has not demanded that Netanyahu cease and desist from what he's doing. And we know that this can be done because Ronald Reagan did it back in 1982. He famously told Menachem Begin, "This is a Holocaust," to which Begin replied, "Mr. President, you don't have to tell me what a Holocaust is." But Reagan told him to stop, and he did stop. And a chilling story that I only recently learned was that there was a young senator who said, "Don't stop, even if you have to kill the women and children." And guess what, folks? That young senator turned out to be Joe Biden. So, I don't know if there's a place missing in his heart for Palestinians or Arabs or what the deal is with him. He's supposed to be Mr. Empathetic, but it seems like he has only showed empathy for the Israeli victims of October 7th. And we've had 5 months now. We're going into the 6th month of a full-blown genocide where immediately they put a siege on the entire area. No food, no water, no fuel, no medicine, and bombing indiscriminately, bombing homes, mosques, hospitals, universities, desecrating cemeteries. I mean, 85% of the population has had to move. multiple times. And they told them to move to the south, and they bombed them on the way to the south. They bombed them when they got to the south. And now they have 1.5 million people in Rafah, where there's only used to be 280,000 people living in tents. And now, over 31,000 people have been killed, 67,000 have been wounded. Save the Children said every day, 1 in 10 children lose 1 or more limbs. And now, 500,000 people are at risk of imminent starvation. Imminent death from disease and starvation, because they are literally drinking polluted seawater. And they have 7 crossings. Oh, Ashley's back. I was just going to finish this point. 7 crossings by land, and they've only opened up 2 of them. And they don't even let a lot of the trucks in. And when they let them in, if there's something on there that they don't like, instead of taking that thing off, they make them go away. And now they're doing airdrops, which are totally insufficient. And people have even been killed by the dropping of these food packages on them. And they're sniping at people. They're shooting at people, starving people that they have starved. They're shooting them when they go to get the food. They've done this several times now. In the first instance, 103 people were killed. Now, I'm going to go back, and I'm sure you've all been following this, so you don't need to hear more from me, but I'm going to go back to Ashley.
Try to cross any of those boundaries or put anybody at risk. If you're approached by a police officer,
we're giving instructions because we're going to march.
Our police liaison, who is Laura, who short woman, navy coat, turquoise scarf, and this is Laura right here, and she will do any conversations with interactions with police or Secret Service, and then she'll relay the information back to the marshals. And that way, we are aiming to be as loud as possible. So bang your drums, if you brought your pots and pans like me, bang those, chant, all of that. And this is how we are going to make our voices heard, because the Biden White House has not heard that we are demanding ceasefire now. So I'm going to turn this microphone or megaphone over to somebody who still has a voice, and we're going to get started. Hayden's right there. Again, we're not going to block the road. We'll just make a long line and a loud, lovely noise. Thank you.
All right, share the stream, everyone.
I'm going to try to stay at the front of the march and show you guys the rest. We going?
Grab the flag! Please stick to the left side of the road.
This is a great group of people. They've got the artful activists, we call them. They've got the great big puppet. And it's a puppet of Joe Biden, and in one hand it says bread, and the other hand it says bombs. We've got signs, we've got flags, we've got chants, and we've got committed people. That's all you need for a good
Palestine!
Free Palestine!
Free Palestine!
Every time Biden lies!
Every time Biden lies!
A neighborhood in Gaza dies!
A neighborhood in Gaza dies!
Every time Biden lies!
Every time Biden lies!
A neighborhood in Gaza dies!
A neighborhood in Gaza dies!
Biden, you're a liar!
Biden, you're a liar!
We demand a ceasefire!
We demand a ceasefire!
Biden, you're a liar!
Biden, you're a liar!
We demand a ceasefire!
We demand a ceasefire!
Free Palestine!
Free Palestine!
Free Palestine!
Free Palestine!
Free Palestine!
Free Palestine!
Free Palestine! Palestine!
Free, free, free Palestine!
Israel bombs, USA pays!
Israel bombs, USA pays!
How many kids did you kill today?
How many kids did you kill today?
Israel bombs, USA pays!
Israel bombs, USA pays!
How many kids did you kill today?
How many kids did you kill today?
We want justice, you say how?
We want justice, you say how?
And the siege on Gaza now!
And the seas on Gaza now!
We want justice, you say how?
We want justice, you say how?
And the siege on Gaza now!
And the seas on Gaza now!
Yemen, Yemen, make us proud!
Yemen, Yemen, make us proud!
Turn another ship around!
Turn another ship around!
Yemen, Yemen, make us proud!
Yemen, make us proud!
Turn another ship around!
Turn another ship around!
From Palestine to the Philippines!
From Palestine to the Philippines!
Stop the U.S. war machine!
Stop the U.S. war machine!
Palestine to the Philippines!
From Palestine to the Philippines!
Fight the U.S. war machine!
Fight the U.S. war machine!
Palestine to Mexico!
Border walls have got to go!
Palestine to Mexico!
Time to Mexico!
Border walls have got to go! Free, free Palestine!
Free Palestine!
Free, free, free Palestine!
I'm not sure how far up this road the Stetson house where the fundraiser is being held is. But so far we've seen no cops, no Secret Service. I almost wonder if they've already left. But there's certainly plenty of cops on Main Street.
Every time, fighting lives! Our neighborhood in Gaza dies! Say it loud, say it clear!
Say it loud, say it clear. We don't want Biden here. Ashley, can you hear me? Ashley? Ashley? I guess she's waiting for them to go by so she can hear me better. Ashley, can you hear me? Ashley? Good to see you too. Yeah, Ashley! Can you hear me? Can you hear me? No, barely, but yes. Okay, I wanted to ask you, is this a community that can easily get this many people out for a protest, or is this an unusual number? I guess I don't want to say easily can get this many people out, but like overall, yeah, this is a very active community. There's a lot of progressive, leftist-minded folks here who are very public facing and connected. So I would say that I think especially on this issue, people are turning out in higher numbers than we might see on like a local issue that is certainly much less life or death than this is. But overall, we are in a community that is, yeah, definitely very active. And do you know of any efforts to get local councils to call for a ceasefire, to pass ceasefire resolutions? Yes. Hi. I can stay back a little bit.
No, I just wondered if there was.
I'm not sure.
I don't see anyone. So.
I think everyone came along.
No, there wasn't.
So yes, the answer is yes. I think Jeff talked a little bit about that. I don't know how well you could hear him. But no, it wasn't Jeff. It was the woman with the puppet. She talked about how she's been part of passing it in other towns. So like Sharon, Vermont has passed it. I think it's up. Thetford has passed it. did Lebanon pass it, or Lebanon, New Hampshire recently passed it? Oh, so they're solidifying wording on it in Lebanon, New Hampshire tonight. Because we're the Upper Valley, so we're in Vermont right now, but in a quarter of a mile, you're in New Hampshire. So we have this interesting blended, like, bi-state community. And on both sides of the river, towns are passing it. So in Hartford, Vermont, where I live, which encompasses White River Junction, we have the proposal in the works right now, and it seems like a majority support from the select board. So it's seeming like that's going to pass soon.
Yeah, unfortunately, here in Asheville, we've been going every week to the city council meetings, and the mayor, Esther Mannheimer, Jewish, basically told everyone last week it's not going to happen. And it's very upsetting. And there's a small but, pretty influential Jewish community here. And most of them are pretty solidified in being, still fixated on October 7th. Even though 5 months have gone by since October 7th, not a single Israeli person, except for obviously a soldier maybe, has died since then. They are still fixated on that trauma. And I think that's one of the reasons, at least that's what the mayor said to me privately, that she feels she can't really go further with the ceasefire resolution. But I find that kind of weak sauce, in my opinion. The other excuse they give is that how can they really affect something that's happening?
I think we might be approaching a barricade. It's gonna get
okay,
louder.
Go ahead.
I'll show you what's
I'm gonna switch all to you now.
Free Palestine! Biden, what do you think?
How many kids did you kill today?
How many kids did you kill today?
Biden, what do you say?
Biden, what do you say?
How many kids did you kill today?
How many kids did you kill today?
From Palestine to the Philippines.
From Palestine to the Philippines.
Stop the U.S. war machine.
Stop the U.S. war machine.
From Palestine to Mexico.
From Palestine to Mexico.
Border walls have got to go.
Border walls have got to go.
From Palestine to the Philippines.
From Palestine to the Philippines.
Ashley.
U.S. war machine.
Stop the U.S. war machine.
Ashley.
From Palestine to Mexico.
Ashley, I want to talk to that cop. Ashley, I want to talk to that cop.
Yemen, make us proud.
I want to ask the cop something. Can you hear me? I want to ask the cop, or you can ask the cop, under what authority is he preventing you guys from using the public street? You have the First Amendment right to use the public street. Ask him under what authority or under what law he's preventing you from doing that.
So I would do that if it were me alone, but the group does have a safety / just kind of like general norms agreement that only the police liaisons designated in the group will interact with police.
Will you ask the police liaison to ask that question?
Yeah.
Under what authority?
Yeah, let me go find her.
This is very interesting, folks. I've been stopped many times by cops and the Secret Service. And unless they officially declare this a Secret Service protection zone,
the live stream are wondering if we can ask the police under what jurisdiction or reasoning are we not allowed to pass on the public road. You may ask. I may ask them? Okay. Excuse me, sir. Hi. I'm wondering under what law or ordinance we're not allowed to pass on the public road.
It's all federal. I have no idea.
It's not. And what department are you with? You're Michigan County. So it's federal police have said residents can't cross this line?
Who can?
The residents, locals.
Residents, apparently, I think Norwich sent out notices that they live on the road.
Okay.
They have IDs, like they live on the road.
Okay. Thank you.
What'd he
Were
say?
you able to hear that, Lauren?
No, I didn't hear it. What'd he say?
It's not state or town police. It's all federal. So that was the Windsor County Sheriff, who's the county here in Vermont. And then he said it's all down from federal police that anyone passing this blockade has to have an ID that they live at a residence on this road.
Okay, but they're violating the law. Do you have anyone from the National Lawyers Guild who is there, the legal observer?
I'm wondering if this is the Secret Service
Protection zone? Yeah, but they have to tell you, they have to affirmatively declare, we have declared this a Secret Service protection zone.
I'd be happy to push against that. Let me go back up towards the barricade.
I mean, this is outrageous, folks. We have the First Amendment right to petition our government for redress of grievances, and they're preventing them from getting close enough to do that.
We will free Palestine. We will free Palestine. Within our lifetime. Within our lifetime. We will free Palestine.
So, do they give us a reason as to why we can't pass, or do they just stand here?
If it was up to me, we would be walking right now. It's as to whether or not anybody would follow me doing it. I don't think we should be here again.
I mean, I don't understand under what law they can just walk a public road. Under what, I guess, law, or why are we not allowed to pass the barricade?
It's a public road. Free Palestine!
Free Palestine!
Can't stand here. What's the difference?
They should just go. If it were me, I would just go.
Windsor County Sheriff?
You know,
Everyone's just following unconstitutional orders.
Other people use that excuse to make up your case.
you know, there's more of you than them. Are they going to arrest you out?
No more money for Israel's side.
There are one of the gentlemen I was just talking to up front wants to pass the barricade. I don't know how many people here are willing to do that. I don't know. There's some tension up there.
I mean, there were people got arrested in Washington. In Washington for the last several months, they've been getting arrested by just speaking out in a public hearing, which is outrageous.
It's very frustrating for there to be no actual response or justification on why they're blockading this public road. If I heard that there's a Secret Service protection zone, like you've mentioned, I get it. That is what it is. But, to just tell me that your boss said that this is the line, no one can cross it. This is America. Like, what does that mean? This is the line, no one can cross it.
Yeah.
It's just kind of nuts.
I hate to be an instigator from, so many miles away, but if it were me, I would just keep going and see what they do.
What was that?
I said if it were me, I would just keep going, confer with the group, find out how many people want to test it out.
Yeah, I can get a poll. Hold on. I'm gonna ask them if they're gonna arrest us.
even the law enforcement don't know why they're being asked to stop these protesters from exercising their First Amendment right to march on a public road.
Border won't conduct together. Free, free, Palestine. Free, Palestine. Within our lifetime. Free, free, Palestine.
I mean, this is something that's usually discussed. They had a signal group, a WhatsApp group. You know, you sort of discuss this, have a contingency for what happens if they try to stop you. Now, I will tell you, if anyone knew enough to say, we have declared this a secret service zone, this was the Occupy law, as we called it.
The people united will never be defeated. The people united will never be defeated.
I think she's telling him what I told her. If you knowingly and willingly protest.
Lauren, what's the name of your channel?
It's the Robust Opposition.
Sorry, what was it?
The Robust Opposition.
Robust Opposition. Okay, hold on.
So if you knowingly and willingly protest in a Secret Service protection zone, you can get a $1,000 fine and 1 year in jail. If you have a weapon, it's a $10,000 fine and 10 years.
Sorry, I'll be able to hear you in a second. Okay,
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was just explaining to the viewers about the Occupy law, that if you get, if they declare it a Secret Service protection zone, and you knowingly and willingly are still protesting inside that zone, you can get $1,000 fine, 1 year in jail, or if you have a weapon, $10,000 fine or 10 years in jail.
Yeah, I just kind of got the feel from the police liaison and one of the other organizers, and the group agreement was to not cross the barricade. There are some people with flags at the front of the barricade who are really tormenting the cops with the flags, just waving it really close to their face. I'll see if I can get a shot in a little bit. But the group kind of safety plan was that, like, we didn't talk about who was willing to be arrested and things like that. So I think most of the group is not going to push it. I kind of wish we were, because I would totally go for it. But I also have 2 little girls at home, and if it is a Secret Service safety zone, I don't want to have to go to jail.
Well, go up to the front and see what those guys are up to.
Yeah, let's go check it out. Within our lifetime. Free, free Palestine. Free, free, free Palestine.
Because Joyce, it would be an illegal arrest. There is no cause for them to be arrested exercising their First Amendment rights on a public street, unless and until they declare it a Secret Service protection zone. And there's nobody there who's done that. They don't even know that's what they're supposed to do. Yes, they do. They have to tell them that. Like when they give a dispersal order, during the George Floyd protest, they say we have declared this unlawful assembly, and we're going to give you 3 warnings, and if you don't leave, you're going to be arrested. Trust me, I've organized over 40 protests since Occupy. I know these things.
Say it loud, say it clear. We don't want Zionists here.
We don't want Zionists
Only
here.
one time, Scott, and I wasn't even a part of the protest. I was live streaming it. It was the Poor People's Campaign in Sacramento. And I was the first one targeted because I was going to be live streaming the arrest. And I didn't intend to be arrested. I didn't go to any of the meetings that the protesters went to.
Tell me what democracy
And yet
looks
they
like.
targeted me, and I said, oh, fine, I'll live stream my arrest. The next thing you know,
Looks like.
you know, my hands were behind my back and my camera was facing the floor.
Tell me what democracy looks like.
Tell me what democracy looks like.
Free, free
Yeah, ironic they're saying,
Palestine.
tell me what democracy looks like when they're being prevented from exercising their First Amendment rights, right?
Palestine!
Free, free Palestine.
Free, free Palestine!
And what do you want to make of that? That when the people leave this fundraiser, they're going to go the other way. So they're not even going to be able to speak. Now, that's something they can do. A small group could break off and go around to the other side, like I did in Bel Air to this net neutrality protest of Obama. When they declared a Secret Service protection zone, I'm like, okay, I'll leave. And then I went around the back entrance with myself and my sign, my backpack. And I got up there, and there they were again. And I'm like, oh my God. You know, all I have is my sign. Look in my backpack. I have no weapons. It's amazing. And then at these big events, they have, you know, free speech zones. That's the other thing. Like if you go to the UN, if there's anything at the UN or at Davos or the World Economic Forum or any of these places, they make the protesters be in a free speech zone, which is Orwellian. Would you find out anything?
Were you talking to me, Lauren?
Yeah, I just want to know if you found out anything new.
No, nothing new. I'm kind of wondering if this is, I don't know if there's going to be a point when people start leaving. We talked about there's another road you can take, although I think it's down. I think there's another road they could take from the house out to the main road. So we talked about having a group of folks down at that end.
Yes.
So if we get that done, I think there's some folks who found out more information about the timing of the event. And so, because they kept saying when it ends. So I might try to find one of those people to check in and see, do you want another group to go to the other end of the road? Because I'd be willing to go down there.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, should we take another 5-minute break?
Sure.
Okay, perfect. I'll be back soon.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right. So again, if you're just joining us, that's Ashley Andreas, and she is in Norwich, Vermont. And it is the site of a Joe Biden fundraiser featuring his wife, Jill Biden. It's at the home of Jane Stetson, a Democratic fundraiser. Apparently, the cost to be at this fundraiser is $1,000 to $25,000. And these are all people, you know, raising money for Joe Biden's reelection, which is in jeopardy because he is supporting a genocide. And ever since this thing started, people have been protesting him anywhere he goes, including the First AME Church. I think that was in Virginia, if I'm not mistaken. And people were saying, you know, oh, how impolitic it is to disrupt a church service. And then the next thing you know, all these AME ministers come out with a statement for a ceasefire. Similarly, there's over 100 rabbis, it may be more now, rabbis for ceasefire. And they were in Congress also protesting. So there's like nowhere this man and now his wife can go and not get protested. And I think it's perfectly just that it happened. You know, people say, and we asked some of the, you know, the protesters there, what do you do when somebody tells you, as has been said to me, by a Black minister today? I will tell you, somebody who I work with in the North Carolina Medicare for All Coalition said to me, so are we now supporting Trump, Lauren, when I mentioned this? And I'm like, no, this is to send a message to Biden. And I said, I don't know if you've been following, but there's the Abandon Biden movement started by Muslim Americans in this country. And in our own state of North Carolina, I was involved with this campaign. We had over 13% vote for no preference, which was the same thing as uncommitted in Michigan. Excuse me. And in Hawaii, I think they had over 20% vote uncommitted, and the totals from Washington are still coming in. So this campaign that they started in Michigan has legs, and people are saying, don't blame the voter, blame Biden. All he needs to do to earn our vote, and I've got some other issues with him, but, probably would go ahead and vote for him if he did what Reagan did back in 1982 when he told Menachem Begin, this is a Holocaust, referring to Lebanon, and you need to stop. And Begin did. And so Joe Biden hasn't said that. First, he was calling for a humanitarian pause. And now they're calling for a temporary ceasefire, which is the same thing with different wording. And we all know, Hamas, of course, they're trying to say that Hamas rejected the ceasefire deal. Well, Hamas has said they would return all the hostages if there was a permanent ceasefire. They don't want a temporary ceasefire where they're going to give up the hostages only to have Israel resume the genocide. And I just read something the other day about how Biden has talked to Netanyahu and said, yes, you can go into Rafah and start, killing people, but in a more targeted way than you've done so. And it's really actually Orwellian to watch any of these State Department press conferences. And I've seen, Matt Miller, who's a spokesperson for the State Department, and Josh Kirby, I forget who he's a spokesperson for, but I've got friends sitting in these press rooms asking questions, and every answer, it's almost like they're reciting a script. Well, Hamas started this, there was a ceasefire until October 7th, completely disregarding the last 75 years of oppression, the last 16 years of occupation, all the violence in the West Bank, the illegal settlements, the harassment and assaults of Palestinians by settlers, where there is no Hamas, all the years that this was happening before Hamas existed, the fact that Israel periodically goes into Gaza to mow the lawn, as they call it, just send them a little message that if they get too uppity, we're gonna shoot them down. The same thing with and peaceful protests. A lot of people say that the calls for global intifada means genocide of the Jews. Well, that's not true at all, because the word intifada just means shaking off the oppressors. And the first intifada was largely peaceful. Similarly, the Great March to Return, and I did a show on this back in 2018 with Hind Kadari, who is a Palestinian journalist from Gaza. Thank God she's still alive and still broadcasting. She talked about how, these people were going up to the wall, the wall dividing Gaza from Israel, peacefully protesting, and they were shot down. They shot down several hundred people, wounded people, and they were using exploding bullets. So the bullet doesn't just go through with you, it explodes in your body, paralyzing you or causing you to lose limbs. I mean, it's sadistic. They're using white phosphorus. They're using 2,000-pound bombs. The amount of firepower that they have used in Gaza in this war, and as my friend Sabra said, if you were watching from the beginning, you can't call this a war. It's so asymmetrical. A war would mean like you had another army that had the same sophisticated weapons and even nuclear weapons, which Israel still does not admit that it has, by, opposing each other. And so in these State Department areas, they're like, well, they're hiding behind the human shields, and they've got them enmeshed in the hospital. I saw an interview with a doctor who was saying he knows every inch of the Al-Shifra hospital, and there is no, military in there at all. He said he can't speak for what's underground in the tunnels, but there is no military, no Gaza, Hamas, operating in that hospital. And the other thing is, Joe Biden, getting back to him now, I don't know if you were on earlier when I said that when Ronald Reagan said to Begin, this is a Holocaust, you have to stop. And Begin said, no disrespect, Mr. President, I think we know what a Holocaust is. But he did stop. There was a young senator who said, no, keep going, even if it means killing women and children. And that young senator was Joe Biden. And at the time, Menachem Begin wrote in his autobiography, when he was recounting the story, that he said to the young senator, no, that's not how we do things in Israel. And of course, that is exactly what they're doing in Israel today. And I would encourage people to read an article in the American Prospect by Rick Perlstein about revisionist Zionism, which is the kind of Zionism that has taken hold in Israel today. It's not the secular socialist Zionism of my grandparents' day, but this messianic fundamentalist fascist Zionism, as practiced by Smotrich and Ben-Gvir, who Netanyahu is actually a moderate compared to those two. They're the ones who mostly made these genocidal statements, 9 pages of genocidal statements in the South Africa's pleading to the International Court of Justice. This is a terrible form of Zionism. And, there's been some debate as to whether this was intentional or not. This was original or not. And there's a guy, Jabotinsky, I think is his name, Rick Perlstein talks about him in his article, that basically said, yes, you do have to clear out these people. And, talking about chance, global intifada, calling for genocide of the Jews, which it doesn't. The same thing with from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. They're also saying that that is calling for genocide of the Jews when it's not. It's only saying that Palestinians will be free in their own land. And it's actually in the Likud charter, the party of Netanyahu. It's in their charter that from the river to the sea, Palestine will be Jewish. So if anybody is trying to exclude another group in a charter, it would be the Likud party. So I'm kind of running out. I'm not running out of things. Sadly, I've been obsessed with this for 5 months. I watch Owen Jones. If you don't watch him, I watch him every day. He's great. Amy Goodman and Democracy Now! Has been great. There are certain people I follow on X, formerly Twitter. And there was an excellent, I'm such a nerd about this. I just watched 4 out of 5 hour debate between this guy, Stephen Bennell, known as Destiny. He's got a podcast apparently, and Benny Morris, who is an Israeli historian, Norman Finkelstein, who's also a historian, and Muan Rabini, who is a Middle East analyst. And it was a debate, sort of a debate, but not formally a debate, between Finkelstein and Rabini, and against Destiny and Benny Morris. And what's interesting about Benny Morris is he was the one to say in the beginning that the Zionist project was dependent on forced transfer, because there's no way they can come in to a country where there are 750,000 Palestinians and expect them to be okay with it. And Destiny was arguing, well, they agreed to the Balfour partition and they agreed to giving a lot more land than eventually they were able to agree to the Palestinians were going to get after they had more wars, the 67 war, which was started by Israel. And so the response to that is, well, you don't know, with the benefit of hindsight, when somebody comes into you and they say, you better take this deal because trust me, 50 years later, you're not going to get as good of a deal. You don't know that. And so trying to blame the Arabs at the time for trying to reject this country going in and taking all their land for a Jewish state, an ethno state. This wasn't a state, by the way, where Jews could just be. This was a state that had to be a Jewish state. So, okay, she's back. Thank God. Okay.
Everything is okay.
Okay.
And I'm sad I did not get this on video, but the group was retreating. 90% of them were headed back up the street. And I see these really fancy dressed people walking on the other side of the barricade towards us. So attendees leaving the event, and I just like grabbed a drum, and like the last few stragglers that were there gave them a very warm unwelcoming with our messages and chants about ending genocide and telling Jill Biden to stop funding genocide. So
Good
that's
work.
what happened, and
I would have interviewed him. I would have come back
Yeah.
into the stream and interviewed him and said, what do you think about what we're doing here? You know,
Yeah,
what do you
and
think
this
about
being-
what Joe Biden is doing?
Yeah, and this being my first experience with this sort of thing, I just wasn't quick enough on my feet. I'm glad I thought to like call a few people over to start a chant, because they would have just walked merrily down the road and missed the whole thing. So at least they were very unhappy. They were giving some very unhappy glares.
Yeah. So what do you think? Are you happy? You think it went well?
I think it went great. I think there's going to be more rallying on the green here for a while, which I might hop off so I can kind of just chant and play some drums and make noise. But I think this was an amazing turnout. I think that whether or not we got to actually have contact with any of the attendees of the event, I don't think they'll be able to miss it in the news tomorrow morning or tonight.
Was there press there? Did you see press?
Oh yeah, we have Channel 5 News is here. They've got video footage of everything. They've been here since 4:30. They've been doing interviews with people. I saw Valley News Reporter, which is our local news, and there was one other source I can't recall. But yeah, it'll be very well covered.
Great.
So yeah, and thank you so much for covering this and continuing to keep this issue in the spotlight and push it, in all of the avenues that you have. We really are happy that you were able to support us in our preparation for this and in getting the message out there.
Well, it's not only my pleasure, but I feel it's my obligation. I mean, we need to do anything that we can to stop this genocide.
Yeah.
And, I've shared this. It'll appear on your Facebook page, I think, because you're tagged in it. So just tell everybody to share this out and keep it going.
Yeah.
And
awesome.
let's close out with some last shots of the people.
Some last what?
Some last shots of the people.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. They're set up again. So here.
Yeah, so folks, I'm going to close out this coverage here on the Norwich Green in Norwich, Vermont, of a protest of genocide in Gaza, done for the benefit of Jill Biden, who's there for a fundraiser for her husband, Joe Biden. And they got as close as they could get, I guess, before the cops, who didn't even know why they were stopping them, but they were told to stop them, stopped them. So we didn't see anything more dramatic than some marching and chanting, but I'm glad I was able to bring this to you. And I do want you to share this video because this kind of stuff inspires other people. And I will tell you that Jill Biden is going to be in Durham tomorrow. And I've already made inquiries to try to find out the location, because we've got a very, very active group protesting this genocide in what they call the triangle, Raleigh, Durham, Chapel Hill. So maybe I'll be back tomorrow. I don't know. Anyway, thank you, Ashley.
Thank you.
And I'm going to say goodbye from the robust opposition, and everybody keep fighting.
Free Palestine.